rich men rushed to Maslock, invade Maslock, and took those loans to themselves, and the poor couldn't enjoy those loans. Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking with evidence. Those who went for the loans, I will tender the evidence. It's here, I will tender it. Mr. Speaker, the rich went for the Maslock loan. It won't happen in the Women Development Bank. It's for small scale and women in the market. So that is exactly what we are going to do. And we are going to restructure the loans in Maslock too. Those, the poor who enjoy the LEAP are going to benefit from what have been given now. As I'm speaking to you, Mr. Speaker, LEAP has been increased from 128 to 256 for household. Mr. Speaker, yesterday we picked the information, or last week we picked the information that people have started going around to register household. We don't have MMDs. Mr. Speaker, as we are here working, we have 100% interest in the people they will register to enjoy this money, because we have to make sure the money gets to the poor. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to school feeding, you can see that we have moved it from 1 cedi 50 pesos to 2 cedis. Mr. Speaker, I've already invited the school feeding CEO or director to come, because of what we are hearing, that a lot of ghost names in these school feedings. Mr. Speaker, we will not take it, because they should freeze everything and investigate for us to take away the ghost names. Caterers should apply so that we can see the real people who are doing the school feeding and pay them. No payment should be made. As we are speaking, if we pay, we'll pay a lot of ghost schools. Monies will go to people in homes that they are not cooking for any children. I know the woman will come. Madam Fatih, if you are hearing me, we are waiting for you. As a chairperson of Women Caucus, we will not sit for this to pass under the bridge. We are not happy as women. We are not happy as mothers, because it is our responsibilities, and our oversight responsibility is to monitor all these things so that those who are to benefit. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank His Excellency John Dramani Mahama again. We were in this house when I came here, and I told this house that girls in the rural communities are suffering when it comes to menstrual period. Mr. Speaker, we made a point. We visited some of the factories, and we were told there would be solution. They couldn't find the solution. It was election year. What we rather saw was they were dancing Sisifia on platform. Instead of them solving those problems, they couldn't solve the problems. Mr. Speaker, that day I tender evidence. Once they couldn't solve it, they should give me back my evidence. Because now, all the villages, those children who are not enjoying are going to have sanitary pad. Every school girl will have sanitary pad. I want to assure those who are using the old type that is over for now. This one is over for now. The other time they took my evidence, they didn't do anything about it. They should bring the evidence back. Once they
Ajay Kosa. Honorable member, you are ranking. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the commentary on the 2025 budget and economic policy as it's presented to this House by the Finance Minister. Mr. Speaker, I have observed lots of commentaries around the budget in this house. Let me concede that I am not an economist, but the fundamentals that underpins growth and progress, Mr. Speaker, are not lost on me. Mr. Speaker, the most important claim or thing that this budget sought to do is to reduce excessive spending and cut down on profligacy. But Mr. Speaker, when you look at the budget, it does the opposite. It's a complete set of contradictions and what I'm tempted to call the great deception. Mr. Speaker, great deception. Mr. Speaker, rather, government spending is being increased. Mr. Speaker, government's total spending has increased, government's appropriation budget has increased, and Mr. Speaker, the most important areas, the prioritized needs of Ghanaians is not where the big monies are going to. A government that is seeking to reduce ministries, reduce ministers, unfortunately is running a very huge budget. Honorable Samson Ahi sought to draw some parallels. He mentioned areas that are receiving allocations, and about 4 or 5 of them, he talked about support for secondary, tertiary students. He talked, and he didn't do the comparison between what the allocation was and what is being sent to the presidency. Mr. Speaker, the resetting agenda of government clearly is in the negative. This government campaigned on a lot of populism and propaganda. Mr. Speaker, if you decide to allocate a whooping 2.7 billion cedis to OGM, away from 326 million from your predecessor, and then you come and allocate 51 million to Ghanaian women across the country. Mr. Speaker, we have 16 regions. For simple arithmetic, let's just decide to divide this 51 million by the 16 regions. Are you telling me we should take 3 million seats to Ashanti region to go and share for women? Wow, look at that. Mr. Speaker, the implication is that I fear for my honorable members on this side of the house, because very soon your constituents will come after you. You have done lofty promises. You have given huge promises of money that is coming. And it turns out that having gotten an overwhelming victory, you have decided to channel the greatest chunk of money to the seat of government, whilst those on whose wings you rose overwhelmingly to win power is being given such amounts of money. We even pray and hope, Mr. Speaker, that these monies will actually go as it is. But I'm afraid this women bank that has been talked about, you can see from the beginning that it's not going to end anywhere. The commitment is zero. And the earlier Ghanaian women brace themselves up for it, Mr. Speaker, the better. Mr. Speaker, at the same time, you are allocating 70 million cedis to a research department at the presidency. You are giving 70 million to buy stationery. Then you allocate 51 million to Ghanaian women. How can you do that? Right away, the commitment to achieve this initiative is nil. Mr. Speaker, one of the biggest problems we have in this country is housing and water. Go to page 99 and 100 of this budget. Your allocation is under $1 billion, yet you are allocating 2.7 billion to the presidency. Clearly, you see a major problem that is happening. And I think that, Mr. Speaker, there is very little that is going to be achieved there. The big push has been selective. The big push is targeting the executive and not the Ghanaian people who voted overwhelmingly for the NDC. Mr. Speaker, again in this budget, the MAC talked about 24-hour economy. I looked up to it to see what policy direction we're going to have. Strangely, Mr. Speaker, 24-hour economy did not find expression in this budget. There is no allocation for it. Just oppose that to the Akufo-Addo government. Mr. Speaker, in a record 9 months, the flashy program that we sold to Ghanaians in our campaign was achieved. And today, as I speak to you, over 3.5 million Ghanaian students have gone through it. A big impact on them. If you really meant and were committed to your 24-hour economy, it ought to have had expression in this budget. Everything from the beginning appears to be a deception. And very soon, Mr. Speaker, they're trying to catch up with our friends on this side of the house. Mr. Speaker, one more issue that I want to talk about is Ghanaian youth. The NDC again packaged a lot of lofty promises and wrote on their backs to win power. Mr. Speaker, it's a very sad story ever since this government assumed the reins of power. Ghanaian youth are being sacked from their jobs. The jobs promised are not coming, and the attempt is to try and get rid of people who are in to replace with others. Mr. Speaker, not a day passes without we reading from the news. NDC youth seizing offices in Kumasi and in Accra, because the jobs that they look up to is not existent, is not forthcoming. And if you cannot create jobs, you don't go sacking people who have been in employment before you came. The challenge is that people are losing their right to work and live decently in this country as Ghanaian youth. And it's important, Mr. Speaker, that we address this matter. When you look at the budget, the interventions that have been mentioned, you don't see any practical hope in realizing those initiatives. And again, I want to put on record that Ghanaian youth will soon see exactly what it is that you promised in those promises. Mr. Speaker, I'm a ranking member for the Works and Housing Committee. If you look at the budget, one major issue that plagues our country is how we secure our water bodies and ensure that we have potable drinking water. Mr. Speaker, today, Galamsey is on the ascendancy. It has become the most lucrative job in this country by those who care to engage in it. The amount of campaign that this government, in opposition then, made around Galamsey,
Honorable J. Mensah Kosa, let me interject by announcing that I'm ceding the chair to the first deputy speaker. So you may go on. This one hasn't spoken. I just jumped. I just jumped with it. So
Member, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Galamsey today, as I was saying, has become pervasive. It is the most lucrative business that is running. And the earlier we checked it, the better. The solution that we are told is being mounted to confront this challenge, Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, will not work. You have people engaged in this activity who are able to confront armed security or military officers, almost daring to overpower. Then your immediate attempt to deal with this is to form what you call blue water guards, which is made of some of our young brothers and sisters solve this problem, because there is no way that the initiative that we are being told is going to secure us the needed solutions that we want so that Ghanaians can live comfortably and enjoy those important amenities. Today we are told by the Minister for Lands that of our 44 forest reserves, 9 of them have been taken over by galamseyers. And if you want to fight such a menace, you don't go getting blue water guards to do the trick for you. Clearly, the prioritization of action is a missed one. Honorable leader just left, but with the Speaker, I note an allocation of 7 billion. Is the local, at the local authority, is the unit committee members. And I would suggest that we could cut part of the presidency's budget of 2.7 billion and come and resource unit committee members, just as we are doing for assembly members, so we can achieve the goal of deepening decentralization. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that in addition to what we want to do for assembly members, let us think about unit committee members, so they can also Mr. Speaker, in a nutshell, I think a lot of commentary has happened around the budget, and from all indications, the prioritization of our needs got lost on us in the budget initiatives. And the most important things that people are looking out for in terms of lifting them out of the doldrums, giving hope to the Ghanaian, fighting poverty, all those critical areas missed out in getting critical needs or allocation to deal with them. And I think that on this note, Mr. Speaker, I would say we seem to be resetting in the negative. We better begin to reprioritize so that things like 24-hour economy, if we give proper clarity to it, we can allocate resources and make sure that it gets attention and then gets its goal that it was intended for. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to thank you for your indulgence. I'm grateful.
Thank you, Honorable. It is not a budget of deception. The budget is intended to address current concerns of most Ghanaians who gave their overwhelming mandate to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC. And so, we are not here to bandit figures. They are busy banding figures around. But let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, that these figures that you are banding around, they will not help you. They will not help you. Because you people have destroyed this economy. And then we have come to repair the economy. And you are busy telling us about growth of 5.7%. Let me find out from you. You have brought growth of 5.7%. And so your verdict, the verdict is the verdict that they have given you for, is the verdict that they have given you for your so-called 5.7% growth rate. You see, in the run-up to the 2000 elections, listen, in the run-up to the 2000 elections, we were campaigning on the back of building roads, infrastructural development, and about to achieve. Even ISE, Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, says that the budget inspires hope. And listen to what ISE said. And this is captured, it finds expression in the daily graphic of Wednesday. 2025 budget inspires hope. That is ISE. Listen to what ISE said. The release provided for in the 2025 budget inspires hope to help reduce hardships that this government is bringing back on board the rural electrification program, which was started which was started by the late head of state, Dr. J.J. Rawlings. This time, we are getting 100 million Ghana cedis to support rural electrification. And that will benefit all of us, including those on the other side. Right, Honorable Speaker, 24 hours economy. Our colleagues have tried to poo-poo the 24-hour economy has not been a viable policy. In fact, Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah described it as one policy definition. Today, we spend nearly 18 hours on the same route, 6 hours in excess of the time that ordinarily we should be using. Mr. Speaker, this year, in this year's budget, the Minister for Finance has allocated a modest amount of 2.4 billion as against their 3.4 billion in 2014. Sure, that amount is relatively smaller, but it is not the size of the money, it's how effectively you use your money. And so, in spite of the fact that the amount appears to be small, let me still use the opportunity to appeal to the Minister of Roads to consider allocating part of this money to the rehabilitation West region and also the whole of Ghana through the Western Corridor. So I use the opportunity to appeal to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama that he should find time. He should find time. In fact, not only find time, he should do his best to ensure that this bridge is constructed in the course of his term. I cannot ask him to do it immediately because it appeared in the 2021 budget, it appeared in the 2022 budget and 2023 budget, and yet nothing was done. As for the 2024 budget, it got lost completely. And so it will take a bit of time to restore it. But that is my appeal to His Excellency the President. Mr. Country went through a domestic debt restructuring program, which resulted in the haircut for many people, including the retired people. Mr. Speaker, in contrast, this budget is a budget which will pay allowances to teacher trainees. This budget is a budget which will pay allowances to nursing trainees. It's a budget.
Honorable member, your time is up. Honorable members, we are now adhering to the time strictly. So the timekeeper will cut your microphone as soon as your time is up. Honorable members, it's now the turn of Honorable Mustafa Yusuf. Deputy Ranking, you have 10 minutes.
The wage bill within the sustainable level. And one, fully implement the net freeze on employment by putting on hold all recruitment and replacement. This is from the President John Dramani Mahama. That 2025, there is not going to be recruitment, there is not going to be replacement. Mr. Speaker, the Ghanaian youth expected a bold solution to end unemployment, not lamentation, termination, dismissal, contradictions, and misplaced priorities. Mr. Speaker, unlike the first Mahama NDC administration, which handed over a collapsing Accra Sports Stadium, and Mr. Speaker, in 2014, AESL did a feasibility study report. The sports complex consists of an aquatic center. The aquatic center, a 10-lane competition pool, an 8-lane warm-up pool, which is an Olympic standard facility. Mr. Speaker, thanks His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo. Today, Ghana can host the World Swimming Championship here in Ghana because the facility is certified by the World Aquatic Body. The Baltimore Sports Complex also consists of a multipurpose hall, a 1,000-seater, 5 tennis courts, one of them covered with spectator stand, a multi-purpose dome, an athletic track installed by Mondo, a world-class athletics installer. And all these facilities are certified for international sporting activities in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, aside that, at the University of Ghana, the University of Ghana Sports Stadium has been upgraded from the then 10 regions, which we christened the Youth Resource Centers. All the 10 regions simultaneously were given opportunity to have 5,000-seater sports stadium. 2 of them have been commissioned, Koforidua Sports Stadium and Wa Sports Stadium. Yet, in the budget, in this current budget, there's no any allocation for capital expenditure for the Ministry of Sports and Recreation. It means that this is sending a signal that the rest of the 8 left is going to be abandoned by the government. And for a government that has already signaled that they are going to have a school sports secretariat where we will encourage our brothers and sisters in school, our children in school to participate in sports, to abandon this sports facility is unfortunate. And for a government that says that the newly created region will be given opportunity to have sports stadium, to abandon the 8 that we have started. Let me also commend the finance minister. Let me commend the finance minister for allocating 3.5 billion for the free SHS education program, but also question that there's no clarity on how this money is going to be expended. The finance minister should therefore come clear to give detailed expenditure.
No. We made some changes, so he will take it on Monday, since we are sitting on Monday. So, Mr. Speaker, please go on to the next one.
It's Honorable Rashid Pelpo.
He's gone. He's got a meeting, so he will also do Monday. I thought he was going to be here. So you skip those 2 and go on to the next one.
Okay. So, Honorable Ajay Mensah.
Yeah, because actually they should have come before Honorable Bedi.
Very well.
But you jumped that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to the budget debate. Mr. Speaker, listening to colleagues, both from the minority side and outside, there's no doubt that this budget is one of the smartest, is one of the best budget ever produced by one of the youngest, competent, efficient finance ministers Ghana has ever had. And indeed, one of the youngest presidents, a competent president that Ghana has ever had. And it's a joy for me to make some few comments and contribute to the debate accordingly. Mr. Speaker, many of my colleagues have talked or touched issues of roads. And I've never seen anyone stood up to talk about the comment on the roads regarding the deplorable state of our roads in this country, from this side and our side. Mr. Speaker, it is true that our roads are in a bad shape. In fact, the sector that manages roads, the Ministry of Roads and Highways, is in a to 105 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, but we don't have anything to show that even though we have this commitment, we have spent so much money, we haven't got anything to show. It is because of the fact that within the 8-year period, this government, my colleagues here, were not able to conduct that survey. We call it the Road Condition Survey, to determine the state and the condition of our roads. That is disappointing. And that is why we think that President Mahama was magnanimous, and he says he was not going to lament. He is going to fix the problem. Of course, we need the support of this side to resolve the problem. I remember a while ago, the former Minister for Roads and Highways was here, and he was admonishing, he was requesting that the government should find money. The government should find money to conclude or to finish some of the projects like from Accra to Kumasi Road and many more, because these networks are very, very critical to the development of the economy. Mr. Speaker, from August 2024 to the 31st of December, the ministry had contracted over 15 billion Ghana cedis contract. That hadn't gotten, or they never had the commencement warrant. Commencement warrant meant that it was not authorized. You can't commit the state to that level of contract when you don't have funding for it. You have never provided any budgetary allocation for that. But that one, at appropriate time, we go into that. So in fixing the problem, and that is going forward. Mr. Speaker, in total, we are aware that in bringing all our debt stock together, as at the time of 31st December 2024, and as at the time that the president was at MPP Baumia and were exiting, the total indebtedness, as has been told by the president, was 105 billion, but the total commitment is 109 billion Ghana cedis. When you talk about commitment, we are talking about the contracts that we have awarded, those that are certified. To create
microphone should be on.
Okay. Thank you. To create
for 5 minutes only.
Mr. Speaker, I'll have 15 minutes. Thank you so very much. I'm the chairman of the committee. Mr. Speaker, this budget provides a lot of hope, particularly for our transportation sector. So much noise were made on the railways in this country, and the Western rails, where a lot of money has been expended on that corridor. Mr. Speaker, we haven't gotten anything to show. Because when you invest so much, you need to have the returns. You hear the Takrade, Kodokrom, Manso stretch, Kodokrom, Takwa, Munivali stretch. They just talk about them, and you spend so much money. We don't have anything to show. Fortunately, in this budget, President Mahama has committed himself that the Mpakadan 97.7 kilometer rail will be used for passenger purposes to Domi. So Adomi to Adomi, from Tema to Adomi, we will use this stretch. We remember when these coaches were bought, and we were told that they were dumb coaches. Private investors will be invited, will be brought on board to develop that stretch. Because I come from that area. The Insuta mines and the Awasu mines and the Nyini mines will be able to have that stretch open up for us to cut those minerals to the Takrade Harbour for transportation as to earn some money. Mr. Speaker, so in a nutshell, I want to show my appreciation, I want to show my gratitude, and I expect colleagues to join me, particularly the committee members for Roads and Transportation Committee, to thank and commend the Minister for Finance and indeed President Mahama for giving us this smart.
Honorable Chum, Member of Parliament for Mampom. Honourable Member, you have 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You have the floor.
Thank you. My glasses are starting to hum. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the 2025 budget statement under discussion. As the ranking member on the Lands and Natural Resources Committee, my contribution will focus more on that sector. Mr. Speaker, any discussion and commentary on Ghana lands and natural resources sector today, without mentioning Galamsey or illegal mining and the destruction of water bodies and forestry, is no commentary. Mr. Speaker, Galamsey has exploded into a new dimension in our country today. And the dimension, it is only the blind who will not want to see what is happening in our country, Ghana, today. And if we are not very careful, in the next 20 to 30 years, there might not be a country called Ghana for us. We've all seen the destruction. It's massive. It's terrible.
is bad. And something ought to be done about it. Today, Ghanaians are seeing who are the people leading the charge when it comes to Galamsey. 2024, you made all the noise. You were very smart. You hung it around our neck. Ghanaians bought into it. And like I said, they show us the red card. Today, we are not in control. It's your people who are in control. Before the elections, the NDC and its associated COS were incessantly calling on Akufo-Addo's government to call for a state of emergency. Today, now you are in government, there is no talk about a state of emergency. Why this duplicitous behavior? 6 months ago, incessant call for a state of emergency. Today, the NDC and its associates are silent on a state of emergency. The situation in this country right now, when we talk of Galamsey, has become a national security threat. And we are struggling to try to contain it because there is no political will from the NDC government. And if Galamsey is not sorted out, in 20 years there will be no chamber for us to sit here to discuss Ghana and to talk about Galamsey. It is no wonder, and I quote, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, that Dr. Ken Ashigbe, who is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, has called for the deployment of full military force to tackle the Galamsey menace. Now the NDC is in control. Your people have taken over. So let's see what you are capable of doing. Let's put the politics aside and look at the future. Mr. Speaker, a couple of days ago, the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Kofi Bua, tried to calm the waters with the Galamsey and the illegal mining menace by announcing a series of reforms and policy interventions. First, they include the amendment of the LI 2462 to take away the power of the President to grant licenses to mining in forest reserves, partly to address the menace of Galamsey, and I find that to be commendable. The legislation is being occasioned by the terrible environmental degradation and deforestation, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And here again, I will want to commend the activities of the various civil society groups, environmental groups, for creating the awareness and keeping the temperature of the menace at a higher tempo. Mr. Speaker, any reform or policy initiation to contain and deal with Galamsey activities, including the destruction of water bodies in any shape or form, will have my full support. But with two caveats. One, implementation, and two, the politics of it. Many seemingly laudable government reforms and programs have fallen through because of poor implementation. And because we have the tendency of playing politics with everything meaningful that we do. Mr. Speaker, permit me to go on record to say that personally, I hate and despise destroyers of water bodies and any galamsey. Number two, the minister also seeks to revoke small-scale licenses granted after the 7th of December. Even though it may be laudable, it also raises some concerns for me. Laudable if...
Honorable Ambrachum, the member has been standing for some time. Let me give him the floor. So they will stop the time for you. Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 122. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member impugned that NDC kingpins are in charge of Galamsey. Mr. Speaker, for the records, we will not accept that because he has no proof of what he tried to impugn. This is a house of record, so let's expunge him from there. You need to let him withdraw, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Habib.
Mr. Speaker, I think there was guidance from the speakership that such things, we should let things flow. And more to the point, when you get up to say you are coming under Order 122, it is still not clear. Order 122 have one up to A, B, C, D. Then you should be specific on the order that you are coming. But 122 itself doesn't give him the opportunity to do that. So, Mr. Speaker, completely rule him out and let the honorable colleague continue. So that, rather than that, if you do that and you also start speaking, Speaker, that means that you have to recognize us to also make interjections in whatever they will say.
Honorable Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think by the early ruling or the guidance given, Mr. Speaker, please let the debate flow.
Honorable members, Standing Order 122 is under the marginal note interruption of debate. So a member may interrupt a debate using Standing Order 122. But Standing Order 122 are various subject matters. A, by a point of order being raised. B, by a matter of privileges suddenly arising. C, by a point of information, elucidation or clarification. D, by attention being called to the absence of quorum. E, by attention being called to the presence of a stranger in the house or upon a point of procedure. Honourable members, if you go to Standing Order 123, it talks about content of a speech. And 123, 2A is the use, a member shall not use offensive, abusive, insulting, blasphemous, or unbecoming words on a member or any other person, or impute improper motive or impound the integrity of a member or any other person. So, honorable members, you can interrupt debates under Standing Order 122, and by pointing to the procedure, then the procedure that will be available is 123, 2A and B. So, honorable member, may you do the needful and proceed. Honorable Amprachum. do the needful, and then you can proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm guided. Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member, withdraw your words and proceed.
What was?
So, therefore, if they said, Honourable Habib, we are here to moderate the House. If somebody from my right said that the MPP kingpins are in charge of Galamsey, I will equally ask the person to withdraw. So once you said the NDC kingpins are in charge of Galamsey, I am similarly urging upon you to withdraw. Honourable member, will you withdraw and proceed?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I withdraw.
Very well.
Happy now?
Please proceed.
Very soon we'll be coming to the House. Those
Please
who are here.
Proceed.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I did mention that the reform that the minister outlined a couple of days ago with regards to changing what the legislation is to stop the president from granting licenses to miners in forest reserves, I find it to be laudable. Laudable in the sense that if the basis for which he is doing the revocation is solid, which according to the minister, with regards to the application, the approval, and the granting of the licenses, which do not go through the proper processing, and especially is targeting small-scale miners. I am all for it. But my other concern is that why is it that the cutoff point is 7th of December? Is it fair? What happened to licenses that were granted before the 7th of December? And then also, why after 7th of December, when the MPP administration was still EC applications? Again, the minister is saying that it is going to change the community mining schemes to community mining cooperatives. What is the real difference between the two, the mining schemes and the cooperatives? I'm afraid if we are not very careful with this Galamsey matter and the way we tackle it, nothing is going to happen. There will be no change. I was hoping that with the resetting agenda of the NDC, we are going to see a positive changes in this Galamsey area. But the first attempt...
Honourable conclude.
Oh dear. Okay. I'm lost. Mr. Speaker, I will only hope, and I want to trust the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, that in the implementation of this new reform, he will try as much as possible to take out politics out of it. And that my real understanding of resetting, which I want to see in a very positive light.
Honourable members, is now the turn of Honourable Rashid Purple.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement, financial statement presented to us by the Minister of Finance on behalf of the President.
Honourable Rashid Purple has 15 minutes.
On behalf of the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Speaker, as the minister in charge of labor, employment, labor, jobs and employment, I was very elated, very happy, and overwhelmed when this budget was presented to us. I looked into the budget and I said, blessed Ghana, bless Ghana. The reason was that for labor to be properly engaged, for the people of Ghana to be paid enough for what they work for, essentially, there must be a strong, forward-looking economy. And a major concern for many Ghanaians in the last administration was because we had run down this economy to the point that we were completely overwhelmed with debt. Mr. Speaker, to the point that out of the total earnings we have in this country, we paid 104% of it to pay for debt servicing. We got to the point when inflation itself had risen to the point when we couldn't maintain it to 54% and now starts going down gradually, Mr. Speaker. And we got to the point when unemployment, especially youth unemployment, was ranging between 15% and 30%. All these culminated into a situation where the young person in Ghana was despondent. You have a host of them trying to cross over to other countries because they had no jobs and the situation was so terrible for us. Mr. Speaker, at that same point, as the penultimate speaker, the former Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, showed disturbance about the fact that Galamsey is destroying our land. We got to a point when the land itself became a target for destruction by Ghanaians themselves. Our forest reserves were overwhelmed. Mr. Speaker, it is true that we need to do something about it, but it is true that it has a history, not too far away. And Mr. Speaker, this situation has a negative consequence on the totality of our advancement of our economy. And so this economy is being targeted strongly by the present regime to reset it and to reset the country. And that's why I'm very happy, because the restoration of the economy is going to do a number of things. But first and most important thing is going to restore confidence in Ghana and confidence amongst the Committee of Nations. The Ghana, which is the eye of Africa, will be seen moving again to the destination that we all admire. When the young person can say, this is my country, I want to work in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, and it will be the Ghana we want. It is going to restore financial discipline, and it's going to restore the discipline in our fiscal policy. And it's going to ensure that in the kind of economy we run, we will recover most of the lost items which went directly into private hands, Mr. Speaker. The pain of this economy is that many people don't see the economy as their own. They see it as something else everybody wants to make money on. So if we are able to get this budget work to the point that we can be confident that it is the budget we all want, Mr. Speaker, the consequence of it is going to be that we are going to increase the natural wealth of this country. We are going to have increased investment. We are going to have increased jobs. Mr. Speaker, a good economy provides direct investment either from the individuals, domestic investment, or from external investment. And I can say that if we support the process in going forward, if we have both parties supporting it, if we can forget about the fact that we are NDC, MPP, and have an economy to mine, Mr. Speaker, we can create wealth in this country and we can make Ghanaians much more confident than we have them today. Mr. Speaker, the economy is going to bring back what we are talking about,
in the process of development, the 24-hour economy, a situation where we can engage as many people as possible, a situation where we can target our work force and make sure we pick up the young person who finished school and for several years has been crying for a job and put them within the economic structure, and they will produce value for this country. Mr. Speaker, we believe very strongly that this is the economy that is going to create wealth in the Ejumawura program, which is going to create about 10,000 jobs for our people. It is the economy that is going to create the digital initiative for our country, for our people. Mr. Speaker, as I'm talking to you right now, several countries are beginning to show confidence in Ghana. In my office, as I sit there, I receive lots of people who are coming over. They want to invest in the economy because they know that there has been a change. Young people are coming forward because they think that we are about to do something for them. The huge level of confidence is growing high. And Mr. Speaker, we can't afford to fail the Ghanaian. That is why I think that all of us must make it a responsibility to work towards achieving the best we can. Mr. Speaker, above it all is the fact that there's going to be, the economy has assured us of a rapid industrialization process, which is going to be the one that will create jobs through implementation of an accelerated plan to promote value addition for domestic consumption and export. And this is very critical for us. All along in this country, our thinking and actions are always towards situations where an external consumption, an external companies will come and invest in this country so we can earn out of them. Essentially now, we are trying very hard. This economy is providing a situation where we can have more domestic investment. It's now calling on us to do what we must do to ensure that we have a forward-moving economy and to do what we must do to create the situation where Ghanaians themselves will invest in this country and create wealth. My major concern is that we want to see the young person who is growing up, the young person who is finishing school now, to find Ghana as a place to stay and work, and out into the other countries to work, and they are mistreated. And so we are going to sign agreements to make sure at every situation there's a bilateral agreement between the country where Ghanaians are going to work with the Ghanaian government, so we can have a kind of understanding and cooperation to allow Ghanaian workers to go and work and be able to come back if they're for allowing me to make just this short statement and to assure the young person in this country that the time has come for him. The situation is not going to be as easy as that because of what we have inherited, and that we want the rest of the people to know, the rest of Ghanaians to know, that as we are facing the challenge, as we are facing this challenge, it is not going to be a situation where we will fail in the end. It's going to be a situation where success will smile at us, and Ghanaians will be happy that there has been a change, and the change that is going to create value for Ghana and reset the agenda and reset the system and create positive change for everybody. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'll proceed to give the floor to Honorable Akwesi Konedo, Deputy Ranking. You have 10 minutes.
Deputy Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to the budget statement for the financial year ending 2025 December. Mr. Speaker, I would like to first start to place on record, and it's very important, this house is a house of record, that the Electoral Commission is the sole body mandated to declare results and as such the percentages thereof with it. It is never true that the percentage that the Electoral Commission assigned to the New Patriotic Party was 38.1. Mr. Speaker, on record, it is 41.75%, and I would want that to enter into the records.
Exactly.
No problem. Mr. Speaker, to the budget.
Did you understand, President?
Whenever there is a challenge with the budget, the answer that we get is that there is no fiscal space. Mr. Speaker, what is a fiscal space? The budget is just an accumulation of revenue and allocation of same to relevant places that you so wish. So how you apportion the budget creates the space that you need. When our brothers try to offer a solution or an answer to that, all that they will tell you, Mr. Speaker, is that there is a big push that would encompass those areas that you don't find in it. Where they try as much as possible to want to convince you, Mr. Speaker, they will come up with the 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, it has no policy. That was said by the coordinator, Honorable Guzitando, when he came here. Ironically, once they would want to even increase the hope, now the Blue River Initiative. Mr. Speaker, today Ghana is playing Chad at the Accra Sports Stadium and we raised them well. About a week ago, Mr. Speaker, when the Lands Minister went to the Western region to outdoor the river guards, I was wondering, is it the new Black Star team that he was outdooring? Because the black and white team, they were in white tops with black stripes on their black trousers, Adidas. Mr. Speaker, you can have praise separate to win an election, but you cannot use Yeye Yenko. Mr. Speaker, Yeye Yenko cannot fight it.
Not at all.
Yeye Yenko, and that was what they were doing. Yeye Yenko, praise separate, Mr. Speaker. That can what we term as tree for life. No change of name, Mr. Speaker. When you marry your wife, and the person takes on your name in addition to the maiden name, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't change that your father-in-law is the daughter of your wife. It will not change that. It cannot change that. Mr. Speaker, Green Ghana has helped this country. And let me say, in 2023, Mr. Speaker, Ghana was the second country in Africa, next to Mozambique, and the third in the world, that received carbon credit from the World Bank's Forest Carbon Partnership Facility in the tune of over $4.8 million. Mr. Speaker, it's a testament to the effort that we put in reforesting and making sure that our forest reserves remain intact. Mr. Speaker, 2024 is left for validation. That efforts have been made, and these are efforts that are verifiable in terms of making sure that the commissions under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources were well resourced. Mr. Speaker, Minerals Commission offices have been done and completed. Some are ongoing. If you go to Akimoda, Bibiani, those ones have been completed. Mr. Speaker, now if you go to Bolga, Kumasi, Tamale, and Chakrade, they are at advanced places. If you go to Kumasi, it's almost about done, 95% done. We need to continuously make sure that all of these things are done, such that, Mr. Speaker, the efforts that have been made will not be in vain. Same way with the Lands Commission again. Mr. Speaker, efforts have been made to make sure that the Lands Commission is fully digitalized, such that our land administration systems, Mr. Speaker, will be at par with international. We want to be taken into the consolidated fund for the activities that make what to do. If that is done, once on the other hand, the minister is trying to do what he terms as the capping of some of these agencies, now he's in line, moving into wanting to also then take away from some of these institutions that would help in managing some of these areas that we do have. But however, doesn't it surprise Mr. Speaker, when you don't have financial space, you still have the effort to set aside 661 million for what we term as estimate.
Yes, Honourable Minority Leader.
Speaker, with respect, just with your leave to interrupt the debate on an important matter, I'm happy the Deputy Majority Leader is here. Mr. Speaker, I've just been briefed about this business statement, which for the ensuing week, it's quite strange. So I feel that just for the record, this must be corrected so that at least we deal with the urgent questions next week. And then if we can discuss the regular questions.
But the business statement was adopted when the second Deputy Speaker was in the chair. So if there is any issue emanating from the business statement, I believe leadership of the House can engage, and as masters of our own rules, we know what exactly to do. But this is definitely an issue that I am unable to vary the adoption of the business statement to accommodate, unless the leadership of both sides are in agreement as to what exactly we should do. So I will encourage leadership to engage in this regard. Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I will not pursue this matter for the purpose of in this way. You know, it creates future goodwill. So I would only plead that if there was anything, because I've spoken to leader this morning, nothing has happened. And when it happens like that, my colleagues here is like, leader, you didn't brief. And I'm not in the know. I'm just a call away. You know me. And I am not a difficult person. If you have any decision to take,